small business owner, maybe you're a startup founder. In today's video, I'm going to go over how to build and create a brand that demands media attention. So we're going to talk about all things from what is PR, what is earned press, what is earned media, how to set up the foundations of your business, what to call yourself, and how to create a timely, relevant, and newsworthy spin as you introduce your brand to the media. Let's jump in. This is the plan. We're going to talk about media and PR 101, like what are the basics here? What is earned media? What does organic press mean? And what is paid press? Because there is a difference. And, some of you may have received emails in your inbox where you have people saying, hey, you've been chosen, pay us this amount of money, which is fine and good, and all has a time and place. But we're going to focus on earned media today. We'll talk about what publicity can do for your brand, the foundations that your company really needs before gaining media attention. We'll talk about how to identify the right channels for your brand, how to be newsworthy, and all of these are really setting down the groundwork so that when you go to approach media contacts, when you go to approach, writers and journalists and TV producers, you have exactly what you need to introduce yourself to them. So I'm here today. I'm one of the co-founders of Visibility on Purpose. I am the one on the left of this lovely photo here. My name is Bridget Aileen Cisco. I am a speaker, and I have personally been implementing many of these publicity and PR tactics in my own businesses for years now. Not really knowing that podcasts were actually really helpful for my business. So I come with that kind of background and that experience and that knowledge where I've just been implementing these things in my own business. I ran a publishing company at one point where we had over 200 authors across 14 countries. I teach yoga. I do workshops and seminars about health and wellness, but I also love all things media. So you can find me baking some sourdough bread and then listening to podcasts, talking about venture capital investing and all these things. So that is me. I'm on the left here. And my business partner who isn't here is Lydia. And Lydia Bagroza is a publicist. She's very well known for getting her clients on some really cool publications like Oprah, Well and Good, Mind, Body, Green, Bustle, Women's Health, Forbes, Time Magazine, and big podcasts. So she runs her own PR agency, and most PR agencies actually aren't focusing on podcasts. So she is definitely revolutionizing that for her clients. And she had a career in the music industry, working with James Bay, the X Ambassadors, Beach Boys, and some really big brands. So together we created Visibility on Purpose. And the whole intention behind Visibility on Purpose was to really teach small business owners how to position themselves to land big media features, and to do this without maybe not paying a publicist or an agency. So we're really here training small business owners and really their teams on how to pitch themselves to the media. So we focus on top tier media placements. We focus on big podcasts. We focus on securing press without being a celebrity, without being famous, without having this huge budget for PR. And that is why we're here today. So I always think back to why we started our businesses or organizations or like a nonprofit. We're here because we wanted to do likely some good on the planet, right? We saw a problem, we saw an opportunity, we saw a gap in the marketplace, and we realized that there was actually, an opportunity for us to help people and to reach them through our services, through our products, through our organization. And we need people to know about that. So you might be at that place in your business where you have, a small following, you're utilizing social media, that is all working, and you're always looking for new touch points for people to find what you're doing. So that is going to be our focus for today, everyone. Okay, let us begin today with some of the basics. So you've likely heard this word PR thrown around, and maybe you're already implementing this for your small business or as an entrepreneur, but you don't really know what it means. And that is likely because as a small business owner, you don't have a PR team, supporting you and helping you. So PR stands for public relations, and it's all about how your brand is perceived from the outside in, right? So when people think about Nike, when they think of Patagonia, when they think of, some of these larger brands, it's about, how does your brand fit in the marketplace and how does it interact with the public? So as part of PR, usually we're thinking about reputation management. This is if you have a celebrity or something goes wrong or like the bad press, it could look like that. Likely you're not having that issue. It might be media outreach, which is really what we focus on at Visibility on Purpose, where you are introducing your brand to the media because they likely don't know about you or that you exist unless you introduce yourself to them. We're talking brand awareness and really building credibility. And this is an aspect of running a business that, you're not always thinking about. We're thinking about sales. We're thinking about like providing the best services for our customer. But this absolutely plays a role in your brand's image in the public eye. And as you grow, this is something that you want to be thinking about implementing, maybe hiring the right VA or in many of our programs, you can have your VA go through the program so they know how to pitch you. And when it comes to media, I also think this is important because we have a lot of small business owners who think, I'm no one. I don't have a huge budget to be in the media, but we need to really think about how the media works. And I've always thought it was quite interesting because it's technically crowdsourced content. And what I mean by that is we have journalists, we have writers, we have TV producers, we have podcast hosts now who are looking to connect with the best experts, subject matter experts, and they're looking to get commentary, quotes, information to help support their stories. So that's why you have during COVID, they're, wanting to talk to all of these doctors and maybe people who are looking at cells and, gene growth or how viruses interact. And they wanted doctors to provide commentary on that. But there's a whole host of other content and media coming out all the time. Right? There's articles on like how to brand your business. There's articles on how to, incorporate a fitness and lifestyle routine back into your life. Like there is so much content out there, and we just need to start thinking about the way that we can provide value to these outlets. So we basically work in synergy with the writers, with the journalists, with the producers. Now, it's important to note that the focus of today and the focus of our entire company, Visibility on Purpose, is all about earned and organic press versus paid press. Now, paid press is technically advertisements, right? Where you are paying for a placement in front of a bunch of eyes. But the other thing that you can be thinking about is you can be working synergistically with the writers who can incorporate you and your brand into what they're writing about. And that's an earned press feature where you get to say, hey, I was featured in this magazine, but you're not really paying for it, right? You can be featured for free. And this is the job of a publicist. A publicist is building and creating these relationships with members of the media so they can introduce their clients to those people. So for us, it's all about building relationships with members of the media, letting them know that we exist, letting them know, that we have something that is timely, relevant, newsworthy, it's interesting, and they want to know about it. So don't ever think that, that email to these writers or that pitch is going unnoticed. They just get a lot of them. So how do we stand out is really the bigger question. Now, I got really geeky here and I was starting to think about, okay, how much traffic do some of these big media sites get? And the reason that this is important is because when we are thinking about publicity and getting featured in more of this public eye, and focusing on PR initiatives and PR campaigns and getting on podcasts and being interviewed on TV, there is a reason. Because we are technically borrowing the platform. We are borrowing the audience of these big media sites. So I just got a little graph here and I wanted to share some of these numbers. Say you are a New York-based business and your business was featured on the New York Post. That has over 151 million unique visitors per month. Not saying that every single one of those 151 unique visitors per month is going to see you, but compare that to your website traffic. Imagine you're able to add that logo to your website. Imagine that you were able to connect your website with that website, which leads me into point number 2 here that I've also been geeking out a lot about, which is this idea that backlinking and search engine optimization can be increased when we are featured on big media sites. And here's how it works. So these big media sites are highly trafficked, right? People are getting their news, they're going to research things, they're finding blogs and articles and how to, and the best paint for a suburban home in 2024. These are highly, highly trafficked. So when your business and your website is linked in articles on that site, it is backlinking to your website. And you're basically borrowing the authority of this huge site to boost your domain ranking. Mind blown, right? Mind blown. So you get to connect with some of these really, really big sites, be featured, boost your own SEO. The other aspects here that are really important to note is really this idea of getting in the room. And I think podcasts are really, really good for this, as well as writers. So podcasts, podcast hosts are some of the smartest people, I think, because they become master networkers. They're interviewing people. They're giving people a platform to tell their story and share what they're about. And this allows that person to have a whole connection and a whole network that you would want to be introduced to. So you getting on podcast, you're connecting with these hosts who are connected to a network of people. Talk about the opportunities there. Then you have a writer, and say that you have a small business and you do fitness coaching and you have a fitness app, and you are connecting with writers at Mind Body Green for a spring into like your new body article. We're just making this up as we go. Now, say they feature you and they write about you in their article, and they're going to be doing another fitness article when it comes time for Christmas, like how to stay fit around the sweets of the holidays. And they're going to think of you in their mind. So we're building those relationships. Another thing that PR allows you to do is it's diversified visibility. Now, we just had a outage yesterday where Facebook, Instagram, like all of Meta was down. Websites were being really funky and weird. Call it the solar flare, whatever it is, it was down. And we always need to be thinking about, what do we really have? What are the entry points into our business? And PR allows you to be seen on tons of other audiences, to have that entry point from all these different angles, right? If you're on a podcast, if you're featured here and quoted here, if you're on the morning news talking about fitness, you have your email list, you have your website. But if the social media sites go down, what do? We got to diversify our portfolio here. Obviously, PR builds credibility. So when you see a website that says as seen on or I'm featured in, it says something to the subconscious. And I found this quote, and I thought this was good. Companies use them, as in those quotes, to borrow credibility from well-known and high-authority publications in their niche, and it works. When visitors see the logos of Entrepreneur, Fortune, Fast Company, Forbes, or any other top publication on your site, they immediately start trusting you and assume you're a quality service provider by inbound junction. I mean, it's so true. Do like a little test, go on a bunch of sites and see the ones that have the logos and something about you, and you goes, oh, they know what they're talking about, right? So it just works. Besides that, obviously PR, since it boosts your credibility, you're getting more diversified visibility. You're going to increase your social media following, boosting sales because you have that credibility piece, and you get to share your story. Like we always say, podcasts are such a good cash cow for conversion. It opens you up to opportunities. People get to know you. You share value. They like you. They buy from you because people buy from people. So this is why it matters. Now start thinking about this for your own company. What would it look like if you were able to get in front of more people every single month? What would it look like if you were able to actually boost your SEO? What would happen? Now, as you start to think about, okay, I want to be seen on these platforms, I want to be interviewed, we want to go over some of the foundations that are important for your business. And we always start here with our clients, with anyone who goes through our programs. And as I mentioned, my business partner, Lydia, has a PR agency. This is the exact same process that she's following. We have a download for you. So if you want to screenshot the PR Media Starter Pack, it's completely free and it just goes into these things a little bit more in detail. So what do we need to have here? We need to understand what do we call ourselves. And we recommend not having more than 3 titles when it comes to media. This is called a credit line. So it's what do you want to be known for? How do you want to introduce yourself? So I say, my name is Bridget Sisko. I'm the co-founder of Visibility on Purpose. I am a speaker and a yoga instructor. right? For instance, that would be my credit line. Maybe you are a holistic health coach. Maybe you are a financial advisor. What do you call yourself? Because this matters. When you are going to be quoted, say in an article, say you're featured on TV, say you are going to be in an interview, they want to know how to introduce you. Now, when did you start your business? And we always joke that people say that they know this, but they likely don't. When did you start your business? Go back in your files, find that date for you. We need to be able to describe what our company does. And we tend to find that very similarly to when a company starts to redo their website and they realize, oh, I need a new photo shoot. We find the same thing tends to happen here. So I want you to think about your company from the outside in. How do you describe what your company does? And I don't want you to say what you do. I want you to describe what your company does. What services do you provide? How do you help people? What does the company do? What does the brand do? If you have a product company, if you have, a local business, brick and mortar, what does your company do? Now, this one's important, and this is what trips a lot of people up, and I think it stops them from moving forward. The topics you feel comfortable speaking on. So let's say that you run a local brick and mortar candle business, and maybe you do some farmers markets on the weekend, and the company's starting to grow. You're starting to have more of an online footprint, which is so cool. Now, you want to be asking yourself, yeah, what could I speak about? Maybe you'd want to go into some podcasts talking about why fragrance-free candles are so important for women's hormonal health. Maybe you want to talk about, how to actually start a product company. Like, how do you get the suppliers? How do you get any of the processes that you need? What is your operating system? You can tell I don't make candles. So we want to write some of these things down. This is really, really important. So we recommend having at least 5 things that you can speak on, and then, changing them up, whether you are pitching a podcast or maybe it's going to be for an article. But this gives that media contact ideas of how they can plug you into what they're working on. Now, next is our founder bio. So you likely have something like this. This is going to be in third person. Bridget Eileen Sisko is the co-founder of Visibility on Purpose. She is a speaker and a yoga instructor. I go into my story instead of what the company does. So tell a little bit about yourself. Like, why did you start the company? We don't want this to be super long, but just giving the backstory of, like, how did you get into this work? I'm someone who had Lyme disease at a really young age, which led me on a wild holistic health journey of alternative medicine and food as nutrition and yoga and Ayurveda and, sound healing and frequency energetics. I went down a path of it, and that now informs the work that I do now. So how did you get started? What makes you unique? What is different, cool, and only yours about your background? Now we have notable achievements, bragging points. So I love to use numbers, especially when we are pitching the media. So what are some really cool things that you have accomplished? Maybe you've written a book. Maybe you've been featured in many other places. Maybe you won an award. Maybe you've worked with maybe you've sold 10 million candles. Right? Those are some really, really cool points. Maybe you've been doing this for 35 years. Maybe you've managed $6 billion in customer money. Use some numbers. Website and social links. Obviously, we need a professional presence on both of those platforms. And we'd always recommend that you have a presence there, but we're not saying that you need to post every day. But if that's part of your strategy, then that's great. And professional headshots. This is really, really important. You need to have professional headshots done. Our cameras are great these days. You might be able to get a friend to take the pictures for you. Okay, now what is right for your company? So based on the campaigns that, based on the goals you have, your campaign, your PR campaign might change. Of course, of course. So let's say that you are a holistic health coach. Maybe your focus is going to be podcasts and editorial publications. Maybe you are a chef and you want to focus on editorial and public and TV. We have to think about what is right for our brand. So editorial, this is really good for the shiny logos, for the backlinking, the SEO that we talked about, really good. So there's magazines, there's blogs, there's now Substack, which are like these micro communities. Email newsletters, there's articles. And there are a number of publications, you might need to do some research on that, but there are a number of publications that would be right for your brand, based on your industry and your target market. TV. So we know Fox, we know CNBC, we know CNN, we know these media channels, and most do have a local station as well. So if you are in the US, you might know some of these. If you are in different countries, you're always going to have a local station. So find whatever that is in your area and start doing some research. Like, what kind of content are they putting out? What are they talking about? News usually is focusing on their numbers. They want to put out content that is timely, relevant, newsworthy. We always hear that term, and I always add interesting. So sometimes they'll have, like, on the morning show, they'll be talking about, here are like 5 recipes that you can make for your kids' school lunch. Maybe you're a chef. So there are ways that you can bring your value to these stations. Obviously, we have podcasts. We love podcasts for conversion. You get to tell your story, you get to give value, you get to really be like fully interviewed. And people are diehard fans of podcasts. Like, podcast people are ride or dies. So check out the podcasts. If you're just starting, do interviews. It's all about cross promotion with podcasts because you get on both channels. Okay, a good question here is how to actually be, how to be newsworthy. This is important. So, gosh, I'm moving myself all over. Okay, how to be newsworthy. So this is important for you to think about, right? As I mentioned, media is looking for timely, relevant, and newsworthy content. They want to put out what their audience wants. They're focused on numbers, they're focused on ratings, they're focused on listeners and viewership. So if you can think about how to bring your creative spin into their world, smart idea. So I love this way of thinking about it. So we have what the media is looking for. And if you don't know what the media is looking for because you don't watch it, no worries, you don't read like those types of publications, do some research. There's always a research component in PR. We want to see what other people are doing. We want to see what these outlets are putting out. We want to see what the writers are working on. And we always recommend Twitter and LinkedIn to connect with writers. So we want to do our market research. We want to read the publications. We want to check out, like, what are people talking about on YouTube? You can type in a keyword on YouTube and get a lot of good ideas. Google Trends, the media calendar, which means, what are they putting out based on the time of year? Because there's always, like, International Women's Day. There's always these days that content is being pushed out on. So we have that lens. And then we have you. We have your wisdom. We have your background, your expertise. We have your content that you've been writing for like years if you have a social platform. And the intersection between those two things is what you pitch. So for instance, let's go back to like holistic health coach or a chef. We'll say that they're both. And the media is wanting to put out more information on like healthy meals, heart healthy meals, we'll say, heart healthy meals. And you have a background in that. That is your wisdom. That is your expertise. So the pitch that you write is like introducing yourself, talking about how you can provide value, speaking on that topic. I'm happy to come in and do a demo on 5 easy to make heart healthy meals for, your family dinner table. And that's your wisdom and your expertise anyway. So we're always thinking about how to bring a creative, interesting spin to the work that you're already doing, but what media wants. And this is like that magic crossover point. And that pitch is important. Now, we're not going to go into how to pitch today. We're not going to go into how to write that. We have an entire program on that. And if we were here doing that, it would be a long, long conversation. So here are some of our best things to know about just media outreach in general. We always want to think about this in terms of a catered strategy. So your brand compared to someone else's brand, it's going to change, right? Like, we don't all want the same things. We don't all have the same needs. So you need to be thinking about what are your goals to get more visibility before going into your own campaign. We're not really big on sending random press releases into the void. Press releases, as an aside, press releases are really good to put information out there, to get general information out there. But that's not always how like a writer is going to pick up a story. So we always recommend like making that relationship with the writer themselves. So next step, after you have your goal, we need to identify the media outlets we want to reach. Like, do you want to do a big podcast push? Okay, well, your goal would be to find all the podcasts that are in your industry related to your vertical that you want to reach. And I would focus, if you're new to this, Start with some smaller podcasts so you can get your feet wet. You can put the training wheels on and get comfortable talking about yourself, because that's a big piece of this too. If you're a little bit more seasoned, start to look for shows that have more downloads. Now we want to find the context or the decision maker of that show. And we're looking for the producer, we're looking for the writer, we're looking for maybe the editor, we're looking for the podcast host. And it's all about building relationships with these people. They get hundreds of pitches a day, which is important to remember. So you have to ask yourself, how can I make this stand out? And we do not recommend using AI for this, guys. They can tell. We have a podcast called Visibility Era, and we interview members of the media so that you can get the behind the scenes of like what these contacts and what the outlets are looking to put out content on and about. And across the board, many of them shared they don't like AI pitches because you can just tell. So this is where to be human, like add touches of your personality and your authenticity and just like yourself, bring yourself into the pitch. It doesn't have to be like the most perfectly beautifully written, but it needs to be a representation of you. Most important thing. We always, so number 4, we lead with the value. So think about, why would they want to interview you? Give them that lead in, make them lean in. If they're a health and wellness writer and you're talking about like heart healthy meals for your family dinner table that take under 30 minutes, maybe they'd lean in. So really thinking about how to lead with value. And that's part of the pitch. That's what we teach you in Pitch Party, which is our PR training program. And the biggest reminder here, we always talk about this as a long-term strategy. Yes, you can get, press wins overnight. It absolutely can happen, but this is a numbers game. This is about you sharing with as many outlets as you can, catered to your focus and your goals. But this takes time to build a brand, right? That's why there are companies who have entire PR teams that are doing this work for you. So if it's either you or a member of your team doing this, just remember that every single touch point that you have, every single pitch that you send out is not going completely unnoticed. We have many stories of writers saying that they keep pitches that they like, and they just, wait to answer until the time when it works for what they're about to write about. So these are just some important things to think about when you're beginning to start your media outreach journey. Now, we could be here forever talking about this, so I wanted to do like a little quick info about visibility and purpose, about just PR in general and where you can get started. So I highly recommend that you start with our PR Media Starter Kit. It's completely free. I think I have the download right here, so you guys can take a little picture. You can pause this video, but these are some of the ways that we can work together. We offer PR brand audits where we can take a look at your website. We can take a look about what you call yourself. We can take a look at what you would be presenting in your pitches. So we can give you some feedback on, your strategy when it comes to your PR campaigns. We have a Pitch Party program, and this is our PR program where you as the founder or someone on your team can take the program for you and basically be your own publicist. And with that, we also do PR consulting. So if you need any just one-on-one support, you're like, how do I do this? What works for my brand? What do I need? I don't even know where to start. You're welcome to work with us one-on-one. So here again is our starter pack. I hope this has been really helpful. Make sure that you guys connect with us on Instagram, LinkedIn. We're starting to be on LinkedIn. We're big on YouTube, so definitely connect with us on YouTube. And we're just so grateful to have been here. We know that PR is like this new world that so many people don't know anything about, and it feels overwhelming and it feels scary. So just thank you for being here. If you have questions, let us know. But thank you so much. Have a great day. See ya.